All right, let's go on the record. CR 21-388. This is State of Nebraska versus Dolezal. We are set for sentencing today. Do we have did he fill out the sex offender registration form?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe he did. Was
Okay.
that not sent over to your chambers?
I haven't seen it.
I know I have it electronically. I can email it over.
Okay.
He also
If you-
filled out a SORA form in his Sarpy County case, and I know that one was filed.
Okay.
So he has been advised of all of those requirements.
Okay, and Mr. Dolezal, you've been advised of the requirements of the Nebraska Sex Offender Registration Act,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you understand that that'll be part of your sentence here today?
Yes, Your
Any
Honor.
questions about that or anything?
No, Your Honor.
No? Okay. All right. I did receive a pre-sentence investigation report. Mr. Dolezal, have you had a chance to look at that or at least talk it over with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything we need to do before we go ahead with sentencing today?
No, Your Honor,
No?
not from the defense.
Okay, recommendation from the state.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're here for sentencing today on 2 counts of attempted online enticement, which are Class 2 felonies, and 4 counts of possession of child porn, which are 2A felonies. Prior to these cases, the defendant had minimal, if any, criminal history. However, over the short time of 5 to 6 years, he's collected quite a criminal history, very serious in nature. He was sentenced a week or 2 ago in Sarpy County for sexual assault of a child. He received, I think, 20 to 40 years in that case. He has pending in Douglas County now multiple counts of first-degree sexual assault of a child, and then he's facing sentence here today for these particular cases. The defendant states in his pre-sentence that he was in a position, he's to help people, not to harm people, as a patrolman with the State Patrol, and he actually did the opposite of that. He used his position with the patrol to try to find his victims. He would talk to them immediately after he Snapchatted them and befriended these victims. He would talk to them about his job, telling them he's a patrolman. He would send them pictures of his car, and he would talk to them about their cases, his arrests that he would make. All in which to try to get these young victims to become interested in him. So he used his position of power and authority to find his victims in this case. One of the things he stated in his pre-sentence that I found interesting was his statement that this is not who he is. Actions speak louder than words, Your Honor, and this is who he is. He was evaluated by Dr. Kurt Newring, and was found to have a paraphilic disease where he needs to have, in my opinion, pretty significant treatment in order to overcome his issues. But when you are warned twice by the patrol to watch what you're doing with your social media and who you're friending, when you're Googling constantly on your phone, high school girls, high school students in Gearing High School, you're Snapchatting all of these young females, and this did not happen in a vacuum, Your Honor. You have a Sarpy County, you have these cases. There were multiple Snapchat conversations with females on his Snapchat account. They couldn't even be identified to even know if they were underage or not. So to say that this is not who he is contrary to what his actions are. He's tarnished the reputation of the patrol. He's tarnished in these victims their opinions of officers. MK, in her statements to the police, stated that she thought when he asked her to meet up with him that he was kidding. I asked her about that, and she said, well, you wouldn't expect a patrolman to do those things. That's why I thought he was kidding. She's now changed her mind, and she has distrust of law enforcement, all because of Mr. Dolezal's actions here. The state in this case is asking for a period of incarceration. He's already sentenced 20 to 40 years in Sarpy County. These, Your Honor, are separate offenses. These are separate victims, and the state is asking that the sentences imposed today be consecutive to one another and consecutive to Sarpy County. That only seems to be reasonable and fair based upon his actions, the seriousness of the offenses, and to do less than that would depreciate the seriousness of the offense. And so we would ask for a period of incarceration to be run consecutive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any response from this defense?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I'll be brief. I think the pre-sentence investigation report was extremely thorough. It was lengthy and detailed, and we don't have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the same. However, I do want to respond briefly to a couple of things the state said, Your Honor. Treatment, number one. Dr. Kirk Newring did file an evaluation, did conduct an evaluation, and included that in the pre-sentence report. I won't go into the details of that, as I know the court parties have had an opportunity to review it. He does need treatment, absolutely. He agrees with that. In fact, at one point in time, I visited Mr. Dolezal, and his first statement to me upon walking into the jail to visit with him was, "Can I get an evaluation? What can I do? What can I do to rectify this situation?" Albeit better late than never. At the bare minimum, Your Honor, he has recognized that. He does agree that he needs some sort of treatment. I do agree with the state that it is a significant level of treatment that he needs, and he's willing to do it, obviously. Your Honor, with regard to consecutive versus concurrent sentences, these actions took place right around the same time as the Sarpy County case. They were delayed significantly several years ago. In fact, the Sarpy County case actually arose out of the investigation from this case. Essentially, a lot of the same actions were taking place in between this county and Sarpy County. We would ask that a concurrent sentence be imposed in this matter. Your Honor, Mr. Dolezal is going to be incarcerated for a significant amount of time. He knows that. He hasn't strayed from that reality in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, I think he does recognize that his actions are abysmal, and he's looking forward to rectifying that to the best of his ability. Again, albeit better late than never. Outside of that, Your Honor, again, we would ask for a concurrent sentence in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dolezal, anything you'd like to say?
Yes, Your Honor. I just want to apologize to the victims for any damage I may have caused. To the families and friends of the victims who no doubt had to give them support during this time, and to the courts and law enforcement officers who had to work on this as well. There's nothing I can say here that will undo the damages that my actions have caused. I'm just ashamed of myself that I lacked the strength and the courage years ago to seek help for this. And I realize now how selfish that train of thought was. I was more thinking about what would happen to me if I came forward and talked to someone about this, that whether that was getting kicked out of the military or not being able to pursue my job with the patrol. And I realized how selfish that train of thought was, instead of thinking about what would, the negative effect I would have on the victims' lives. I plan on doing everything and anything I can while I'm incarcerated, all the programs, all the classes, anything that will make sure that I never do something like this again. That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, I've listened to and considered the remarks of your attorney as well as the county attorney. I've carefully considered the pre-sentence investigation report. Arriving at your sentence, I considered your age, your mentality, your education, your experience, your social and cultural background, as well as your past criminal record. There's not a lot for me to say, I don't think. I think the PSI speaks for itself. Very difficult PSI to get through. As the prosecution said, you use your position of authority to harm children. I think anything less than a period of incarceration would appreciate the seriousness of the offense and promote a disrespect for the law. So it is the sentence and judgment of the court that you be in prison in an institution of the Nebraska Department of Correctional Services on count 1 to an indeterminate term of not less than 10 years, not more than 12 years. You are given credit for the 3 days already served. Count, I think it's 3. It's also in the enticement count, not less than 10 years, not more than 12 years. Count 5, which is child pornography, not less than 5 years, not more than 8 years. Count 9, also the child pornography, not less than 5 years, not more than 8 years. Count 12, not less than 5 years, not more than 8 years. And the last count, not less than 5 years, not more than 8 years. All sentences are ordered served to be run consecutively. This sentence will also run consecutively to the sentence given in Sarpy County. You're also ordered to comply with the Nebraska Sex Offender Registration Act. Assuming you lose no good time, I do need to advise you that you will be parole eligible in a period of 20 years. Your mandatory discharge will be in a period of 28 years. You are remanded to the custody of the sheriff to be taken to the appropriate location. Thank you.